this new bill called?
The new bill is the creation of an athletic fee that will be established here on campus. The separation between tuition and fees is simply the idea that a fee is something that we pay as students for a service. It's a service that's provided within your different areas of campus, such as the Student Center, the Russ Building as far as counseling, the Rec Center for what they do, the library. And so these are different fees that we pay for services. Tuition is strictly towards our academics. No student, no board member, no administrator on campus can affect tuition in the idea of raising it or lowering it other than the state legislature. Since we are a state university, everything goes through the state legislature in regards to anything that we do as far as tuition or fees on campus. In the past, we've had two referendums passed here on campus. One has been to establish renovations to the Student Center. There was an additional fee created at that time that we now call the Student Center fee. We know how much we pay per semester, per tuition for our Student Center fee. When they got ready to make renovations to the Rec Center, they created a Rec Center fee. These are two referendums that caused our student service fee to be reduced by the amount that the fee was then established for the Rec Center. So what they did, we paid X amount of dollars in student service fee at that time. They reduced it by the amount that they created the Rec Center fee for. So no additional tuition or fees were paid by students for these particular renovations. It was a separation in budget to say, okay, instead of paying this amount of money for your student service fee, we'll reduce it by that amount and we'll call that the Rec Center fee. So that's how the Rec Center receives all of their fees, is how Student Center receives all theirs annually, semesterally, for the particular budget that the fee upholds. So what this fee will do is right now we are paying a $15 per credit hour student service fee that we pay along with our tuition for academic classes. So this is going to be reduced by $3, creating a $12 student service fee, and it will establish a $3 per credit hour athletic fee. What this does in X amount of years, as the school budgets this money and puts it within this particular area as far as the athletic fee, once this allocates enough money and saves up enough money, we'll be able to then make renovations to the different athletic facilities that we have here on campus. Given examples have been discussed of renovations to the football stadium, as far as maybe different entrances to the stadium and the way that it's set up. It's been talk about renovations to the Coliseum as far as the seating. They just recently got a new floor in there, so now we're looking at the seating because we do use that for multiple reasons. They've just renovated and got us a brand new soccer field. So they're looking at different areas within athletics right now simply because there are 11 sports that operate out of the field house alone. Right now they're sacrificing meeting rooms, they're sacrificing coaching offices just for these particular sports to have areas to meet. The field house has not been renovated in no form of fashion since 1988. They looked at square footage at that time. They didn't want to expand it in no regard other than making renovations to the inside for anything that they can then kind of compensate for within the different sports that operate from out of there. So for that reason, they're looking to say, okay, we need to make a big project in some area in regards to athletics. Simply why they're looking to move towards this area of campus is due to the idea that we are a D1 university, which means that we compete within the Southland Conference at a Division I status. It's right now crippling us in the idea of going out and recruit other candidates, such as you look at Texas State. They just recently made a huge renovation to their stadium. They have an established athletic fee. You look at Lamar University, who recently didn't have a football team for, I want to say, almost a decade, brought their football team back. Multi-million-dollar stadium. They have an athletic fee. When you look at other schools that are in close relation to us, like UTSA, you look at Sam Houston, who just recently won a national championship. These are all schools that we're currently competing against in the form of going out and recruiting students. So if we're going out to a high school and talking to a high-caliber student athlete and saying, we would like for you to play as an SFA lumberjack, bringing them here to our campus, showing them tours of the different facilities that we offer just in the football area, they can say, okay, well, I had better facilities back in high school, so I'll go to Sam Houston that just won a national championship. I'll go to Texas State that just got a brand new stadium. So now we're losing high caliber players that we can't recruit just due to our facilities not being renovated since '88. So for that reason, if we can establish an athletic fee like these other schools have done, and our research has shown we can then save up money within this athletic fee. That'll be a special budget that we're already paying the same amount of money. Athletics already receives a portion of our student service fee and also a portion of tuition. How much that is, students don't know right now. So we looked at the numbers, we looked at the budget, and we said, you know, students should not be paying X amount of dollars in tuition and a portion or percentage of that goes to athletics. Students shouldn't have to pay an additional athletic fee just to know how much they'll be given athletics. So we'll reduce what students already pay in student service fee, create this athletic fee, same amount of money, just start budgeting the money in a different area. And the reason why we want to be able to budget this money in a different area is simply because 25% of any renovation that we do to any building on campus, since we are a state university, 25% has to come from an outside donor. So when you look at your look at your big time companies, and if we're going to them saying, hey, look, we want to do a $6 million project at our football stadium, that's not possible if we have no kind of fee or budget of money established back on campus that says at least 75% of this is already saved. We can meet you here if you want to take the other additional 25 that we need. So creating this athletic fee is gonna, within X amount of years, give us the amount of money created within this budget of money that says, okay, we now have 4 million, we now have 6 million. The more that we can establish over the years' time upon this particular budget of money, we can go to these companies and say, here's the amount of money that we have back on campus that our students are paying within a fee, saying that they would like a better stadium, they would like a better coliseum. And so then these companies are more willing to do it. So because the state law mentions that 25% has to come from an outside donor, there's not much that we can do as students or as administrators at the university to make these renovations. The administration has met several times of seeing coming together and saying, how do we make this happen? How do we make it happen without raising tuition? That is one thing that they want to stay away from. And when you say raising tuition, as students, we realize that what we pay as an e-bill is tuition. We call it tuition because it's a fee for college. However, as I mentioned before, tuition is just for our academics that our administration cannot touch. But when you look at our fees and the services that are provided there, these particular fees are what covers different renovations that go towards different things like that. So when the administration says, look, we don't want to charge the students any more money for making renovations that we feel like can benefit them. So we'll have them pay the same amount of money, and we'll do a better job on our end of being able to budget the money that they pay to then make renovations such as this, to where we're not asking for anything more. All we're asking is for this fee to be established within a referendum, which is the proper steps to rebudget students' money on a state university campus. And from there, we can now use this money that's already being paid, the same amount that's already being paid, but use it in a better way. And so all the administration has done is come to us as student government, and they've said, hey, we know that we have to pass a resolution, and a resolution coming from student government just simply states pretty much, hey, look, we think this is a great idea. So last Wednesday on October 31st, we passed a resolution to establish an athletic fee here on campus. That resolution then turns into what we call a student referendum. A referendum still has to be passed by students, in which it takes a 2/3 vote for a resolution to go through the student government body, Senate body of legislators. Then it has to go to the students, and within the students, looking at our almost 13,000 amount of students we have on campus, there's a certain percentage of them that has to accept and pass this referendum in order for it to go to our Board of Regents. Once it goes to the Board of Regents, they meet on it, they say, okay, this is something that the students want, they've created, they've agreed upon it, we'll now take it to the state legislature. Every 2 years we go and we meet in Austin with the state legislature to look at everything across the board, how we're doing academically as a university, how our faculty and staff is, what the caliber of professors are, how many students that are actually being retained at our university to graduate in 4 years, how many students come their first year, last all the way through. They're looking at everything across the board. So when our Board of Regents goes in February and presents this to them and say, okay, this is what the students have established back on campus, this is what they want. want. They take a look at our budget and they say, okay, we can see within a year's time you can create this amount of money, or we can see within 2-3 years you can create X amount. So then they'll accept or deny it based on, you know, certain standards. They'll give suggestions as to how we can rebudget our money that we have and look at it from a different perspective. So we're taking this to February, and anything that passes from the students on the referendum side of things doesn't set it in stone. It has to be approved by the state legislature. So the only thing that we're doing as student government and as students in general is agreeing upon a matter to say rebudget the amount of money that we pay in student service fee to create renovations within the future. And you have to look at the advantages of this. As alumni, we want to be able to come back and enjoy something on campus. Our past alumni want to come back and see that students are working towards different initiatives on campus to increase campus and make it better. We're not just looking at what can we do while we're here as students that's going to benefit us, but what can we be a part of that's going to benefit our future generation and our future students that come here. So this is what this is going to do. Sending it to a student referendum gives us that democratic process to where students have a voice. Right now, it's only been through student government for us to kind of talk, have discussion, debate about it, but we want to give it to the students because that's where it matters. That's what our job here is to do, is to provide beneficial services for students on campus. Our full entire organization budget comes from student service fee. It's everything of the students' money. All of our meetings are open for students to come and say that they feel like money should be spent otherwise. Ideas and different suggestions, they can come and present those. All of our meetings are open. And so we're playing our part here and letting students know that, you know, the money is going to be rebudgeted. It's going to start off as a reduction of $3 from student service to create the athletic fee, and propose by fall of 2014, we're looking to have a $9 athletic fee along with a $9 student service fee, which if you look at designated tuition is going to free up $9 within there as well. So it's a total $9.99 across the board, to where at any time that the athletic fee is raised, the student service fee has to come down to compensate. Therefore, by establishing and creating this fee, no extra fees or no extra money will be requested from students to pay from semester to semester or year by year. Tuition, as I mentioned, is straight academics, which can only be raised by the state legislature. If they come to us and they see that we have a very high amount in our student service fee, then they can come and increase tuition by a certain percentage of our student service fee. If we continually to reduce our student service fee by X amount of dollars over the years, that's less money that our state legislature can come in and raise our academic tuition by. So in long-term sense, we're rebudgeting our money to establish a pool of money for renovations to happen on campus in regards to athletics, that also frees up money within designated tuition that we can now supply more money for departments on campus that give services to students, and also student organizations on campus. So in the long-term sense, by establishing and rebudgeting this money, we're going to be saving a lot of money within different areas of not only our tuition, not only our fees, but the overall amount that it will cost for a student to attend here within 4 years to receive a degree. We're looking at rebudgeting money in different areas for a long-term benefit, rather than saying that right now is the time to ask students for more money to create something that some students may not be around for. You know, we're not wanting to do that in no regard. Let's rebudget what we have, work better with what we have to establish things that we want for not only right now, not only for the future, but for many and many generations to come, that some of us may or may not still be around for, but yet you can then say when you were once here, you played a part in something that happened on campus for a future generation. And so that's what this referendum and the creation of this fee is going to establish for. It's going, like I mentioned, it's going to save us money more than ask for more money. It's only a rebudget of the money that we already have, and we're not asking for any additional fees. So by creating and establishing this particular fee on campus, we're going to be, you know, serving ourselves a great benefit as students that are here, and also looking out for future generation of the university and the students to come.
As far as you said, the football stadium, I agree, it's no better than a high school stadium.
Right.
What are some of the things that you would look to as far as making that football stadium look better, besides just like talking about
Okay. Right now, I've met with Robert Hill, who's our athletic director. I've met with Steve Westbrook, who's our vice president of university affairs. And the university right now has a master plan that covers all the way to the year 2020. These are different initiatives that we may see as a current class of students. These are initiatives to work towards for different future classes to come. These are initiatives that may not even happen by 2020, but putting these within a master plan and giving ourselves time to 2020 gives the years of change in the economy, gives the years of change within society of our generation of students to see whether or not they can benefit from different initiatives that are placed in, whether or not they can't, and the university wouldn't move forward with it. So this all being within a 2020 master plan gives us room to kind of work around and gives us years at a time to say, okay, maybe this will work in 2 years, maybe it won't, and it keeps us going back to the drawing board year after year to kind of see where we are as a university, see maybe where we can go within that time of 2020. So to answer your question, as far as what will actually happen at the football stadium, right now what we're looking at is that the entrance of where tailgate leads into the actual stadium, you almost have to walk around, and it causes students to maybe have to go out of their way. There's not any bathrooms out there right now to compensate for students having to go and use the bathroom. They have to either enter the stadium or use facilities near Hall 20, and that's not anything that we want. We want to be able to make a more user-friendly entrance to where students are able to come and go as they please within tailgating area and also within the actual stadium. They're looking to actually go and increase the seating around the different hills that we have, where our Greek organization and other student organizations like to go out and enjoy the game. And it won't be that they won't be able to do that anymore, but it'll be to increase and also welcome in not only our visiting team and their fans, not only our home team fans here, but it'll be more of an environment where people will come and want to watch a football game, not just looking through the fence where it's not as comfortable, not turning students away or letting them know that you have to have your ID or do this or do that in order to come into the stadium. We're looking to create a more user-friendly environment around the area of tailgate and entrances within our stadium. Now, this is just one initiative that's being talked about as far as the renovation for the stadium. They have plenty that is listed within detail in the 2020 master plan, and all of this is public information for students to know. They're located on the 3rd floor of the Austin building, is where Dr. Westbrook's office is. I do know that Robert Hill over in athletics is usually available as well. All this information, if students would like to know, is available and is public to say, here's what we're looking to do. If given X amount of dollars within X amount of years, we'll be able to, work on this plan or work on the next plan. But this is going to be money that will be used within certain initiatives in regards to athletics across the board. I think they've even looked at square footage to expand our field house and make renovations to that to accompany more of our different athletic teams that we have. So this is going to be money that's stretched across the board for different reasons, not just saying, hey, we would like a bigger scoreboard that, is only going to complement the population of people that happen to come to the game. This is saying we're creating a D1 environment that when you go to your other campuses and you have friends from other campuses that say, man, I love doing this here, or I like that I can go here and I can do that. Well, let's bring that back home to right here where we are as Lumberjacks and create that same environment to not only support our football team, not only support our basketball team or any other major sport, but to support our athletics across the board to where every team has that welcoming feeling from a fan environment that they want to go to the game and be engaged, not just show up because they feel like they have to.
All right. So you said that this referendum has not even been put in front of SGA, right?
It has. On October 31st, we did go ahead and pass the resolution. And then right now, the projected dates for the referendum to hit campus and become public for students to vote on it, we're looking at November 29th and 30th. That gives us about 2 weeks from this given date to kind of get all our details worked out, make sure that all cracks in the road are covered, detail in regards to how the money will then be appropriated within the budget, detail as to the different initiatives that they'll be applying this money to once it's been gathered and allocated within a specific budget. So all this will be detailed and public to the students. On the 29th and 30th is going to be our big days. We're looking out now to open up our polls for students to vote on it. All the voting will go through Access as we've done our past SGA elections from this particular semester, and so then that gets students engaged through a website portal that our university has invested money for better communication and involvement within students. So it raises the awareness for that, and it also gives students a chance to actually go through and utilize it and see how user-friendly it really is. And so as I mentioned, the 29th and 30th is what we're looking to do. It's already been passed through SGA, and so now the power rests within the hands of the students.
Okay.
By making all these changes to the facilities, is there any way in, like, UTSA, UTA, and Texas State all left the Southland Conference to upgrade their sports programs? Any talk of that with us doing it?
Okay, the way that the talk is running right now as to if given increases and renovations to our different facilities, how will we change within our current conference that we're in? And to answer that right now, we're almost looking at a 50-50 here in passing this referendum. Giving the students the power to vote on this and pass it does give the university the chance to make these renovations if passed through the state legislature. As of now, there hasn't been any talk on us moving conferences. However, the counter of that has been talk that if this doesn't pass and the students don't agree that they want to be able to rebudget this amount of money to establish a pool that, you know, develops and saves us money over time, then we're looking at a decrease within our current division as far as athletics. And when I mention athletics, that's across the board in all sports that we have. Right now, we are within a D1, competing at a D1 level. If you look at our current football season and how it's going right now, we're doing great in conference. When you look at our overall record, you may say, well, we're not really doing that well. Okay, we are playing teams this season that are not within our conference, and so that does give us a high level of competition. But bringing it back to the conference, considering that we are at a Division I right now, to stay at the competing level of a Division I, we need to continue to recruit the athletes that keeps us within that caliber. So by enhancing our facilities on campus, by being able to provide better services within athletics for the particular caliber of candidates that we're looking to bring in to play athletics at our university, we must be able to renovate these things and compensate for what we haven't done over X amount of years and start doing those things, because research has shown that by creating this particular athletic fee on other campuses is how they're able to go and make renovations within other state universities that we are currently competing against. So to keep us from having to go down to a D2 or to have to compete against smaller schools that may or may not even be within our conference, or to maybe even have to result to moving down to other conferences that aren't as big within the Southland Conference that we're currently in, we must be able to have facilities that can house and provide the services to the caliber of athletes that we're looking out to recruit. Otherwise, they'll be going and utilizing facilities at our other competing universities and constantly allowing us not to be able to raise our standards of athletics within the level that we compete at, due to the idea that our facilities don't match the expectations of those that we're looking to bring in.
We talked about it briefly, but for the students who could care less about athletics, how does this benefit them?
The way that this benefits students that really have no ties with athletics and that, you know, may attend a game or may even, you know, catch the stats or the results of a game after it's over, the way that this benefits them is that right now all of us are current students. This is something that is currently happening on our campus. Speaking of today, with it being November 6th and us having a huge election day within our country, you have people that aren't involved within elections and actually don't go out and vote. And so for that reason, there's not much that's given to them on their end as far as freedom and different things to go out and say as to what's going on, because they haven't been involved within the current election to know what the issues are at hand, what both candidates are running about, and how it will affect them. So for students who aren't as engaged within our athletics, I want to say that I encourage you to actually go out and have some kind of part within this referendum happening on campus, simply because you are a current enrolled student right now. So to come back within X amount of years, or to maybe even have your children look into coming to this particular university, you want to be able to say that you participated in something that actually made a change here on this university and on this campus. So whether you come back for a tour, maybe you come back with, you know, your children to come, you come back with other people that, you know, causes you to come and visit this campus and this university, there's a given opportunity right now with the referendum that we have in hand for you to be a part of something that makes a major change on our campus, something that not only increase our school spirit, not only increase our freedom as students to have the right to make changes on campus, but increases our current students to say that we have a part and that we are given the opportunity right now at this moment to play a very vital role within a major change that can happen on this campus, simply because this will change how our fees and how our budgets are then allocated to different departments. So I want to say to every student out there, take advantage of this time that we have right now. This is a huge change that will happen on campus in regards to how our fees will be allocated to different departments, and right now is the best time as any student within this country to have a voice on a state university campus to say that you are for or against particular changes that happen on your campus for beneficial reasons that can come in years to come.
All right, you said you wanted to hear what I heard whenever I first found out about this.
Okay.
I found out about it from Traditions Council.
Okay.
And they told me that SGA approved a bill that was going to raise tuition for an athletic complex.
Okay.
Those were the words that I heard.
Gotcha.
And I thought, then we elected the wrong people.
Right.
And so that's what started us on this story.
Gotcha. Well, I'll just say, as a person of interest to this university, coming here, I would have never guessed that this particular position would have ever crossed within my resume and track record of being involved. However, I realized that it was a time where there was given information on campus that I was well aware of. It's different committees, different meetings, different people that I knew that would discuss and talk about different initiatives that happen on campus. So I took a step back and I said, well, how do I get to put myself in a position to be a student that, you know, can have more of a verbal voice on campus and not just your kind of theoretical voice that you can say that you have but never really get a chance to practice. And so when I first got in this position, it was no binder that was given that said, hey, you know, here's how to be the best president of SGA. You know, it was everything that I knew at the time, everything that I knew that would be coming up, and things that I wanted to look forward to work towards the future. As I've been within office, there's nothing that I've done that has caused any kind of increase within students as far as financially, any kind of frustration academically. I've done the best that I could to try and iron out a lot of different systems that SGA plays a vital part for. A perfect example is the way that our parking and traffic system works right now with citations and student appeals. Right now, that has been a difference in how it's worked in the past. They went to a two-tier to where your first appeal goes directly through their office. They make the decision on whether or not it gets approved or denied. It then gives you the chance to send it to the student court. Right now, our student court is meeting almost every 2 weeks on given appeals that are racked up within that 2-week time span. Right now, that system is still being ironed out within how well are we communicating with students from our end, how well is the parking and traffic office communicating with students as far as the policy, the rules on campus, where to park, how to park, everything across the board. So we're looking to really detail that to where, as a student that just may be looking to come to campus, you go to that particular office and say, okay, I see a map of where I can park. I know that it's not going to be right in my residence hall. I know that if I'm a commuter student, I'm not going to be able to get right up to my academic building for class. But I do realize that there's a system established that every single student on campus, whether you're a commuter or a resident, has a place to park on campus. Now, if that's the 4th floor of the parking garage that's way near the commuter lot, if that's, you know, the last space that's in the very last row of the commuter lot, there's a given space for you. Now, as students and as people who have came to college and seeking higher education, there's a given self-responsibility upon us as students to say, okay, if I know that I go and park in the commuter lot and it's going to take at least 15 minutes for that bus to make its way around its given route to pick me up and take me to a given part of campus, then I need to maybe leave my house 30 minutes earlier. I may need to get up a little bit earlier to get dressed. This now turns the needle back on us as students and just regular people of society and say that if I know I have to be somewhere at a given time, if this was corporate America in the real world and we were out working blue collar or white collar jobs that caused us to be within, you know, at work at a particular time, and we knew that it was a shuttle that took us there, we knew that it was, you know, a timed route that, you know, delayed me from doing this and doing that, that's affecting our paycheck. So in order to get to a paycheck to even be at that level, you have to have an education first. So if this affects your education of you being on time and maybe you having professors that, you know, close the doors right when the class starts at 11, then it has to be turned back around and say, well, if this is something that I'm willing to seek and it's in higher education and I know that the system is set up to work in this particular manner, let me better prepare myself to where I'm leaving my house a little earlier, I'm up getting dressed a little earlier, and I'm at class on time, receiving every bit of education that I can get to then get to the job that I want within X amount of years, to where the same idea of a system is going to be set up to where you may have to, you know, catch your local city transit to get to your particular job, and if you know that causes X amount of time, that's just how you have to better prepare. But the system has been set up that operates and works fairly, not only within their office and how they operate, but how our student government Supreme Court can provide the proper services to students to have them aware of the rules and policies in regards to their office and create a better environment for our parking here on campus.